Failing to plan is a plan to fail. And when it comes to BMX racing, and especially preparing for BMX racing performance, having a training plan is key in an effort to win future events and enjoy success in future events. And in this video, we're going to talk about what is a training plan, what are the objectives of a training plan, and how to set it up. Let's talk about it. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to another edition of BMX Coach Live. I am your host, three-time Olympic coach Greg Romero, coming from San Diego, and we're live. If you guys are watching this on the replay, thanks for joining us. And today, can we talk about what is a training plan and what it can do for you? Man, being a coach, man, it all comes down to the training plan, doesn't it? Sometimes it doesn't. But when it comes to coaching, yes, in fact, having a training plan as a base to help out someone's performance, as a base to plan someone's performance is actually, it's imperative. It's key. Having a plan is super, super important. And in this episode, I want to go deep into how I look at what training is. There's a lot of guys in the chat room and over here in the community that love to know about, hey, what is an ideal training plan for me? And so I was really inspired by you guys, and I want to give you a full comprehensive breakdown in my model of the world on what a training program means to me. And that way you guys have an understanding of how you guys can create a training program for yourself, or find somebody like myself that can help you with a training program. Now, let's go check out what's going on in the live feed. We have on the live feed, if you guys are watching this on the replay, just hit the live chat and you guys can go in there and you can follow along and see what the community is talking about, either with me or amongst themselves. And that's a big reason why I do the show, is because the community shows up, man. It's awesome, man. They pump me up, and without a community, whether it's the worldwide community or the local community at your local track, it would be hard to enjoy BMX, would it not? So let's go check out, see what's going on here. Scott Shepard says, hey, coach. Cody H, Andy Lim, JP, Jake, Sean A, Connor Nyland says hello, Ellie BMX, Bruce Robinson, Jake Jensen, Trom says, what's up? All right, so we got quite a few people in the stream. And again, if you guys are following along live in the stream, make sure you guys contribute and let me know, when I bring something up as it pertains to training or training programs. Let me know what you guys are doing for training, and that way you can help out others in the community and also anyone else that's watching on the replay. If you guys are new to this channel, you guys want to support me, you guys are going to find this valuable, make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe, and more importantly, hit the bell notification. That way you guys get notified when I go live or when I post. Now, another great reason why I do this is to give back. And for you guys that are watching this, I want you guys to give back the same way I'm giving you guys the opportunity to learn, and for me to mentor, and for me to be your coach. But I want you guys to take this information and give it and share it to others. So you guys could, if you guys can, please share this within any social media communities, whether it's Facebook, email, chat rooms, forums. I don't even know if forums are still around, but if you guys can, share this, send a link to send a link via email to a rider or a parent that is in need. Share it to your page. I really appreciate that. What that does, not only does it help me, but more importantly, it helps others. And the more people we can help, then the longer that the riders that need the help will actually stay in the sport longer. And that's really, truly, at the end of the day, my goal is to help out the riders that are currently in our sport now that need our help, the beginners, the newer riders, the struggling expert, the struggling guy that just turned pro, or perhaps the older guy who's coming back into the sport after a 10 to 20 year hiatus, who wants to learn about BMX performance as it pertains in the 2020s. All right, so guys, we have a really nice comprehensive chat about training programs. I say we just jump, not dump, jump right into the content here. So I think first and foremost, the number one thing that we need to identify is what is a training plan? All right. Right. So what is a training plan? And at the end of the day, a training plan is a roadmap, right? It's a roadmap that's going to enable you to plan out your success for future events, right? It's a roadmap that's going to enable you to continuously spiral up in your BMX racing career, or within that small window of time that people potentially or usually participate in our sport, which is an average of anywhere from 2 up to 5 years. You guys have a short window of time that you spend in the sport, and training plans are going to enable you to get the most out of your time. And at the end of the day, would it be better if we can get most out of our time? We dedicate so much time to our sport, right? So much time and money, traveling, going to the bike shop. Well, I don't know if you guys are going to a bike shop, but maybe you guys are picking up bikes at the local bike shop, but maybe perhaps you guys are buying stuff online. You guys are picking up stuff from other people at the track or buying from the track. You guys are spending so much money on bike equipment, entry fees, food, travel, right? It adds up. And at the end of the day, it's crazy how we focus on spending money on all this stuff, but then we fail to plan, and it's not utilizing the best of our money, the time, and any resources. And so, at the end of the day, what I do with riders is that usually riders that they've had enough of struggling and trying to figure it out, they come to me to help them out. That's what I do. I set up a performance, a personal performance program, and usually that entails not only the emotional and mental and technical side of preparation, but more importantly, a physical side of preparation, and that all happens through the training plan. A good training plan will allow you to recover between workouts, right? And when you can recover between workouts, you're going to get more out of the next workout. So having a training program that sets you up for success day in, day out will allow you to make gains throughout the week, right? And more importantly, allow you to ride your bike when it comes to the weekend. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to a training program, here's the thing that we got to jump right into, right off the hop. Most people look at training as, hey, what's my weekly routine? What's my weekly schedule? And while that's a component of a training program, it's certainly not the bigger picture. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to give you guys the bigger picture and be able to zoom in. So I want to zoom out first and then start zooming in what a training program is and then what a typical week looks like. Would that be helpful? Because I would say that a lot of you guys are trying to figure out, hey, what should I do the week of a race? What should I do leading up to an event? If I race on the weekend, what should I be doing during the week? Trust me, I asked you guys in the community, I put out some posts both on our Facebook page and also on YouTube here, asking what you guys want to do. And those of you that talked about wanting to know more about training plans and what you guys should do during the week, while I think that's really important, I also think it's important for you guys to zoom out and understand how those weeks, week after week, complement each other. Okay. And I want to give you that on a macro level, right? A really abstract bird's eye view of how I coach my Olympic athletes. Would you guys like that? Let me know in the chat room if you guys would find that helpful to see what I do for my Olympic athletes. All right. So first and foremost, a training plan is going to consist of 3 cycles, okay? 3 cycles. Number 1, the macrocycle. The macrocycle is going to be the year-long bird's eye view of your season, right? A macrocycle is going to be lining up all the races and figuring out what times of the year that you guys have in an effort to go deep into what I would say themed and dedicated areas to improve, right? So for example, we'll look at traditional sports because BMX racing is a little bit funky because we race year round. Some of you guys that are living in more winterized and more four season type areas, such as the Northeast here in America, you guys have a true winter, spring, summer, and fall. And so unless you guys are traveling, you guys actually during the wintertime get a true off season. Most traditional sports such as baseball, football, basketball, ice hockey, which is one of my favorite sports, most of these guys have a 3 month off season where they can go ahead and break down their physical motor, work on some weaknesses, start rebuilding some strength, and then go through another preparatory phase right before the season starts, which is right around that preseason, if you will, right? BMX racing, we don't have a preseason. It's like, okay, here's the race schedule, let's go. It's not really a team sport. Here's the event. You guys need to do your best to show up and hold yourself accountable or not, and just show up and start racing. And so there's really no formal seasons, right? And it's crazy. So macro season is going to be, your off season, your preparatory season, which is going to be your build up going into the season. And then during the season, you guys are going to be doing maintenance. And then after that, you guys are going to transition back into the off season. Now, when it comes to the off season, most of you guys are going to be working on weaknesses and other things, like most sports that are explosive, like racing, like football, like, ice hockey. A lot of guys are working on endurance, if you will. And then as they move closer into the preseason, then they're going a little bit more specific and transferring into power. Okay, that's traditional. That's what I would call traditional periodization. Periodization is a concept of basically isolating all of these different seasons and basically integrating a system, a theme, right, of going deep into an area. And I think that's okay. There's a time and place for beginning, novice, and some advanced athletes to do that. But what if you're like a BMX racer who's racing all year round, therefore training all year round? That might not make sense. Unless you're a newbie pro, then, and you haven't been training, then yeah, that might make sense. But at some point, you're going to have to go more, periodization is more linear. You might have to go non-linear, but that's a little bit more advanced for this audience, right? Because the majority of us we really don't know what a training program consists of. So let's just give you guys the basics, right? So we have the macro, then we have the meso, okay? The mesocycle. The mesocycle is going to be, again, that small chunk in the area of the season that you're in. So the off season would be a mesocycle. The preparatory season would be a mesocycle, otherwise known as training blocks, right? So a lot of you guys will train in blocks as well. So another good example of a mesocycle is, let's say you guys are going to the Grand Nationals and you guys just got done finishing up the Fall Nationals, and the Grand Nationals isn't for another 4 weeks after the Fall Nationals. Well, you have a block. You guys have typically a 4 to 5 week block to prepare for the USA BMX Grand Nationals. That is a mesocycle. So you have all these different mesocycles within the macrocycle, right? Finally, you have the microcycle. The microcycle lives within the mesocycle. So the microcycle is actually the weekly cycle within the mesocycle, okay? So you have all these cycles and we're cycling and it's BMX. But at the end of the day, most of us typically focus on the microcycle. Hey, what should I be doing? I go to the track Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. All right. What should I be doing the other days? And for the majority of us who are not racing at the elite level, that's totally fine. Just focusing on the microcycle is better than not doing anything at all. Knowing that what you're going to do on a Monday, Tuesday, all the way through Friday, going into the weekend, is important because that gives you a Well, something to follow, right? What gets scheduled gets done. If you guys don't have a schedule, then, it gives you a reason to just not do it. So again, Microcycle is going to be your weekly cycle. Now, bear with me. I'm going to give you examples. Okay. I thought this was pretty cool. So I brought this up. This is an athlete of mine, Mike Day, who got a silver medal at the first Olympics in Beijing. And here is an example of his macrocycle. Boom. Very, very comprehensive, right? Very, very comprehensive, especially even I would say for the national racer, right? Very comprehensive for majority of us that are just getting involved in the sport. But I think it's important that you guys need to understand what this is. That way, if you guys want to get serious, then you guys got to start looking at the scope of the entirety of the season and then start blocking things off into mesocycles. And that way you guys know what you're doing during the week and where that fits within the grand picture. So I don't know if you guys can see this all too well, but you guys might need to, take a shot, take a screenshot and blow it up. I don't really care. There's nothing to hide here. But if you guys see, man, you guys can't see my cursor, can you? I wish I could do that. But if you guys see in this top row here, these are his race events. Let's see if I can bring this up on my bigger computer here. So let's see here. First and foremost, I brought up Mike's racing events at the top. Okay. And then of course we have goals, we have results. Everything in yellow is going to be a World Cup. The blue one's the World Championships. And then of course, well, what else do we have over here? Looks like at the end, the pink, that's going to be the Olympic trials. Or no, that's going to be the Olympic Games. So somewhere in June was the Olympic trials. For some reason, I don't have that in there. But so you have all the events laid out, okay? And then if you guys look in the middle, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a bigger picture of this. But basically, at the end of the day, we have events. And then you guys see that there's a bunch of purple blocks. And those are going to be the different volumes of our workload, right? How much volume are we going to impose on this athlete? Because we can't just go, a ton of training stress, the same training stress week in, week out. The guy's gonna burn out. He needs time to taper and recover and then work himself back up. Our body goes in cycles, right? We go in cycles. Everything goes in cycles. It's just like the seasons, right? And so our bodies don't do anything differently from that. So it's important that we adhere to the training cycles and we alter the training load. And there's something to be said for that, because a great reason why a training plan works is because it's important that we have a progressive overload, that we impose a bigger demand than the last session. And then once we reach an area where we're imposing a big, intense demand with lots of volume, then we need to recover that and bring the overall volume back down the following week and then work it back up again. If you guys look below the purple bars, you guys are going to see these are training phases. Of course, you're going to see like orange, green, pink, blue. Okay, that's going to focus on, what are we focusing on in terms of physicality? Are we focusing on power, speed, maximum strength maintenance, hypertrophy, anatomical adaptation, recovery, taper? What are we doing? And then if you could see to the right of that, then I have, the mesocycle. And I'll bring up a mesocycle right now. Let's just jump right to it. So I zoomed it in and basically, where it says July, August, September, all the way into October, that is a competitive mesocycle. That is a block of racing and training where Mike here, I had him doing pretty much maintenance of strength and specific power and speed. Okay. So you got to imagine before, and if you notice July here, this is the beginning. For some reason, I have it starting in July, but you guys don't see January. But I got to imagine before this, back in January, February, December, January, February, that was also a mesocycle in an effort to do preparatory work, right? Working on, focusing on getting into the gym and imposing a lot of volume, and also focusing on a ton of strength work to increase his maximum strength, right? So yeah, man. So let's see here. And then if you see this mesocycle, this is no different than, say, someone coming up to me and saying, or going to another coach and saying, hey man, can you set me up with a plan to get ready for the grands? And I sell those on my website over at the store on BMX Training. 4 or 5 week plan, get ready for the ABA grands. Most of you guys have that short-sightedness to where you guys want to train when it's important. And at the end of the day, I think that's great. No shame in that. Majority of us do that. My hand's raised up with you. I've done that when I was younger. I mean, shoot, I wouldn't even ride my bike at the track until there was an important race, because I had other things going on. I was playing like other high school sports, such as, well, I tried to wrestle. I sucked at that, and I tried basketball. I wasn't any good at that, but I was good at football. So I'd play football, and I would lift weights, and I would ride my bike. But I wouldn't start getting interested in training unless there was a race, especially if there was an important one. So when I showed up to the track, it's like, oh, Greg's at the track, man. There must be a race coming up. But majority of us are like that, right? Like majority of us need an incentive. Some of us, some of us want to just start training and just get on a routine day in, day out, and they do local racing, and it is what it is for them. And they just want to do it for fitness and health. And, they want to do well at the local level. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But if you guys are looking to go to the next level, that's the thing, understanding that at the end of the day, yes, you guys can plan out your races and then drop down, hey, what am I doing during these mesocycles of off-season, preparatory, preseason, and of course, what am I doing during the season? And getting really, really comprehensive, but more importantly, clear on the intent of what you're doing. And then, of course, we have, let's see here. Yeah, so here's the mesocycle. And then, of course, let's stick with like the Olympic type racer. Let's move on to the microcycle, right? The weekly cycle. And this is something that, like, a lot of you guys just focus on this. Like, what do I need to do during the week? And I'm going to give it to you guys. It's not that big of a deal. And again, this is just one way of many different ways that I have programmed my Olympic athletes the week of. It just depends on where they're at. So something like this, I would say this would be like, I would say I took this from like training a rider getting ready for a big World Cup, and say they have 4 weeks. And this is typically what like week 1, 2, 3 look like. And then week 4 is typically a taper, but that's a different conversation. But if you guys look here, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, And then as you can see here in the beginning of the week, we jump right into it. We're knocking out sprints, and we're doing gym work. Okay. And I'm going to talk about the benefits of stacking workouts and having 2 workouts in one day. I'll talk about that here in a moment. Give me a second. And then if you could see here, so we have, again, workout 1 in blue, and then, blue is going to represent the morning, and, the sun's coming out and the skies are blue. And then there might be an evening or afternoon workout where, that's going to be in gray, right? So that's the AM workout, the PM workout. That's stuff that we were doing at the Olympic Training Center with all of my Olympic caliber athletes. So we have a sprint session and a gym session. And then on Tuesday, might take the morning off because, sometimes me personally, I like as much rest as possible between training days. So in this case, I'm giving the rider well over 24 hours. Well, I'm sorry, not 24 hours, but I'm giving him, pretty much around 12 to 16 hours of rest in between workouts. I think that's pretty good. If you guys train at night and then train in the morning, listen, you only get about 10 hours of rest and recovery in between, right? And that's really tough. So I'd say the more rest, the better. And then if you can see here, there's a track workout in the evening, and then Wednesday, a day off, right? And then all of a sudden we have 48 hours of recovery. in an effort to get back into the gym on a Thursday. Now, this would be really good for an athlete that is focusing on wanting to get strong, right? And so for an athlete that's focusing on wanting to get strong, I typically love to have them go into that training session as fresh as possible. So we take advantage of that on Thursday. And then, of course, after we've done the gym session, perhaps in the evening or in the afternoon, we do a sprint session. Following day, we might do a little bit more volume. We might do another sprint session of some sort. And then maybe perhaps a gait session where we're working on mechanics. Nothing crazy. Maybe we're working on the first movement. Maybe we're working on timing. Maybe we're working on the mental performance mind state, right? And I'm on the side of the gate and I'm replicating intense performance type scenarios, right? And then of course Saturday there's perhaps a track session, and then Sunday's a full day off, and then we do it all over again. Now, a lot of this stuff we can mix and match. You could pretty much place your Monday anywhere along any of these days that I have set up. Again, this is just, there's many ways to skin the cat, right? But if you could see here, I have the gym sessions to where they come in after a day off. I love that, especially for an athlete that's focusing on getting strong, who's going through a mesocycle, a training block to where they need to show up strong, right? And powerful. And of course, you guys are probably want to question, well, hey, Greg, why is there sprint work on Monday? You're starting out sprinting and then gym in the afternoon. Well, sometimes I want to take advantage of having a day of going into sprints, of having a full day off before, coming in fresh and just really nailing those sprints. Maybe perhaps these sprints are going to be flat ground working on specific power sprints, right? And then after that, certainly, sprint training is not going to be that hard on them. So we're going to go into the gym and take advantage of the neural pathways that have been activated throughout the day. So we'll go in the gym and maybe perhaps we'll complement some more speed work in the gym and do that in the early part of the week. And then of course, as you can see here on Tuesday, that's a lot of neurological power, imposing a lot of neurological power, which fatigues the central nervous system. So I give them the morning off, give them an opportunity to sleep in, and then of course go out to the track, and maybe perhaps if they're a little bit tired, then we focus on skill work, and maybe that would be a great opportunity for my guys to work on interval training, right? The day before we worked on explosive stuff, worked on sprint power, and then got into the gym, did specific power, maybe some power, some strength speed, if you will. Following day, we sleep in, we recover, and then maybe perhaps we work on the interval system. The power endurance system, right? Working on intervals late in the evening, and then that's going to be plenty of work for these guys. If these guys are working at, these Olympic athletes they're taking on so much volume of work. These guys need a lot of recovery. So another day of full recovery in the middle of the week. And then we head into the gym fresh the next day. Maybe perhaps that day, they're going to do maximum effort work. Okay. They've had, close to 48 hours of recovery from their last workout. And then, yes, going in fresh to work on the maximal strength capacity. And then maybe perhaps we'll do some sprint work in the evening from that, because again, we're kind of benefiting from this neurological adaptation. It's called potentiation, but no one knows what that is. But we're benefiting from potentiation here in a way that we can go out and do sprint work, and maybe perhaps we'll do some maximum speed work. That's maybe a time where we can work on either doing a downhill sprint, a jump sprint, or if you want, maybe this would be an opportunity for you to work on your second, third pedal acceleration position. Great time to do that. Maybe perhaps the following day we do another sprint session. Okay. And of course, the day before we train, so we're not going to be at 100% capacity, because we've imposed a demand of stimulus, and therefore more than likely there's going to be something compromised, going to be tired. So maybe that would be a day to do some kind of maximum speed interval work. Maybe the day before we worked on technical, or maybe this day here on Friday morning, we just work on technical stuff. Nothing crazy. And then the afternoon, we complement that with more technical stuff, doing some gate starts. Saturday, we go out to the track and maybe perhaps this rider here who's in tremendous shape and has good skills, we go out and do interval work on the track. All right. All kinds of ways to skin the cat here. Let's check out the local racer. All right, so here's a sample of a local race weekend rider. If you guys look to the right, Saturday, Sunday, racing on the weekends. All right, let's just move ahead. We're racing on Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we have the day off, and maybe perhaps if you guys are feeling okay, that would be a good day to go into the gym that night, right? Because gym isn't really, it's not really a technical, it's not really, well, I shouldn't say it's not technical, but it's not heavy as far as like, you know, doing technical gate starts or whatnot. And you guys don't necessarily don't have to go in 100% recovered, but typically, you know, if you race on a Sunday morning, and then you take the evening off, you take the next day off on Monday. Listen, that's 24 hours of recovery. You guys can certainly go into the gym and go in the evening, okay? And that would be a great time for you guys to work on your strength, whatever that is, right, for you, whether it's going to be submaximal strength, working on volume, or maybe perhaps you guys want to work on maximum strength, or maybe you guys want to work on speed work. Doesn't really matter. And then you guys move to Tuesday, take the morning off, and then, you know, typically Tuesday, you know, early in the week, you guys, Monday, Tuesday, you guys are going to the track, right? A track's going to be open early in the week for the most part. And that would be a great opportunity for you guys to work on your skills, right? Work on gates. Maybe if there's some local racing, you guys can do that as well. Following day, we have 2 workouts here. So the day before we did track work, wasn't a whole lot of heavy lifting, if you will, as far as like what you would do in a gym session, but you're not going to be as fatigued. So, you know, Wednesday morning, you guys can get back into the gym and do some strength work. All right. Follow that up with some sprint work if you want. Now, if you guys don't have time to do that, then you guys can move the sprint work over to Thursday, right? Maybe put that over to Thursday evening. Give yourself 24 hours in between if you guys need more recovery. There's all kinds of ways you guys could easily and effortlessly create a training program, but you guys want to keep in mind that, you know, for the most part, you guys want to go in as fresh as you can on your sprints. As you can see here on Friday, the day before, going into a sprint session fresh. Give you guys an opportunity to go into one of these sprint sessions or gym sessions fresh. It's awesome. But if you guys look here, you know, Thursday was the split of the week. That's the day we have a day off. And then perhaps Friday you guys go in and do some sprints, and that kind of opens you up neurologically and get you ready to race on the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Well, cool. You know, there's a couple other things I want to talk about when it comes to a training plan. Let me know what you guys have, what questions you guys have about these microcycles, these cycles, the mesocycle, the big grand picture. If you guys have a question on that one, you know, or perhaps a big training block, or perhaps the microcycle, right? What questions do you guys have? And while you guys bring up those questions, you know, let's talk about why a training plan, right? Because there's a lot of you guys that don't do it. And perhaps it's like this. Maybe you guys don't have big enough goals or a huge reason. Or maybe just you guys find it unnecessary because you guys are already on automatic, going to the track Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe you guys are throwing in the occasional sprint. And that's fine. That's great if you guys, again, are you guys are comfortable with racing at the local level, and maybe perhaps you guys don't want to go to the next level. But I think it's important to understand a training plan, right? A training plan is going to help you get progressively better over time. And that's what we're looking for. If you guys are doing the same thing week in, week out, that's not progressive enough, right? Majority of you guys, if you guys are even training, just have a basic week to week. Hey, what am I doing this week? This is my routine, right? You guys are operating on routine. Again, nothing wrong with that. But if you guys are finding yourselves not improving, then you guys might need to step back a little bit, think bigger picture, think about a macro cycle of identifying all your races from January to December, looking at where you guys are going to spend your time and looking for blocks for you guys to go deep into work of training, right? So, the whole point of having a macro cycle, again, is to identify areas of where you guys can go deep into training. Another reason why a training plan is important, again, what gets scheduled gets done, right? Again, what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So having a training program is key for success. Okay. Another benefit of having a training program is that it takes away the guesswork. Oh, what do I got to do? Majority of the athletes that come to me, they don't know what to do. Majority of you guys don't have time to do the research that I've done. I mean, I got books all over the place, and it's all this information in my head. It's hard, but at the end of the day, you guys don't have time to do that. So hire an expert, whether it's me or another renowned coach or someone that's well qualified that can help you out with the training program. Let them do the thinking for you. It's easier, right? You're paying for knowledge. You're paying for time. You're paying for the insurance of an opportunity cost, right? If you guys spend a year trying to figure it out and it doesn't work, that's an opportunity cost. Maybe perhaps if you invested in yourself, you do the work that you're supposed to do. You don't have to waste any time figuring it out. So you save time. You're buying time. Okay, buying time. Time is such a precious resource. Maybe perhaps you can use that time for something else. But more importantly, you're buying time and you're ensuring that you're doing the right thing without even thinking about it. And having, you're not going around with your head cut off with fear or, more importantly, uncertainty and doubt. Did I do the right thing? Because most of the time people show up to races and they start second guessing their preparation. Oh my gosh, man, did I do the right thing? I don't know if I did it. Listen, if you have a coach, it's like, dude, and they set you up for success, physically you've done the right thing. Now it's up to you to execute, show up emotionally and mentally prepared. And that gives you more clarity. It takes less pressure. Therefore, you guys can be there emotionally and mentally for your racing, right? It's easier to perform when you don't have all this emotional and mental stress, where you have all this uncertainty and doubt. All right, what questions do we have as it pertains to training? Thunder Midget. Having a training program really helps you with evaluating what and where your weaknesses are. With your program, you could switch it up to help those lagging areas. Absolutely, man. Thank you. Lochi Ross says, hey, dude, this is super helpful from Australia. Cool. Right on, man. Thank you. Here you go. Matt McHugh. Did I say that right? Please forgive me, man. I think I'm starting to need glasses. I pride myself in pronouncing names properly. Matt McElwee. Matt McElwee. Matt McElwee asks, how often do you suggest changing up your routine to prevent a training plateau? Great question. I would say every 3 weeks. With my athletes, especially at the Olympic level, and athletes in my winter circle program, I pretty much impose some kind of progressive overload. We're usually focusing on a theme, So for example, let's just focus on, gym sessions, for example, and we're trying to focus on maximal strength, and maybe perhaps we're doing 2 gym sessions a week or 3, third one being a body weight one, 2 of them being a lower body weight one. One of the lower body weight workouts is a maximum strength. The second one is focusing on, dynamic efforts of speed and power. And basically what we're doing, for the maximal strength one, let's just say, in a 3-week mesocycle or a block, the first week maybe we're focusing on around 85%. The following week we're going to 90%. The third week we're going to 95%. And that would be an example of progressive overload. And then after that, maybe perhaps that's with like like a bilateral exercise or maybe a unilateral exercise. It could be a squat, it could be a single-legged squat, doesn't really matter. And then maybe perhaps the fourth week we'll do like a taper, right? So maybe we'll go in there, we'll lower the percentage a little bit, or maybe we just do a test and just don't do a whole lot of volume. And then the fifth week, when we start it all over again, maybe we'll switch it up and do a different exercise. Okay. So that is a great way to ensure that you're, number one, you're progressing, making sure that your percentages are continuously overloading week after week. And then maybe, when it's time to start over again, you add a different exercise. For me today, I trained despite the fact that I don't compete, I still train like an elite level athlete. I just love it. And so for the past 3 weeks, I was doing Bulgarian split squats. The older I get, I'm not trying to do a bilateral work and pose all this weight on my lower back. So I like doing single-legged stuff. It's a lot easier to do, and I would say majority of you guys would totally benefit from it as well. And a lot of my athletes do unilateral work, such as Bulgarian split squats. So I was doing Bulgarian split squats for 3 weeks in a row here. And on the third week last week, I got up to 225 pounds. I went from 185 to 205 to 225 3 weeks in a row, for example. And then today, what I decided to do was switch up the exercise. I went with a single leg step up. So I put a 16-inch box right in front of me in my squat rack, and then I switched up the exercise. And now I'm going to do that for the next 3 weeks, and then I'm going to progressively go. I think today I was like, I don't know, I'm not really strong with that one. 135, and then I'll go next week maybe 155, and then maybe I'll make a big leap and go to 185. That's about what I was doing when I was racing the World Championships in the 35 plus class. But you could easily switch it up, Matt, in terms of not plateauing, just by simply, number one, ensuring that you have progressive overload every week, and then once you reach that maximum load, then switch up the exercise. So for sprints, for example, you could do 3 weeks in a row of like, I don't know, a flat ground sprint. Okay. And then maybe the next 3 weeks after that, maybe you could put in an uphill sprint, right? Or a downhill sprint. It doesn't really matter, right? As long as you're giving your body a chance to adapt, and then of course, switch it up and change up the stimulus. That way it could start adapting again. Awesome question, Matt. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Here we go. Peter McHugh. Hey, coach, do you feel a training plan should intensify as coming up to a big race so you are more conditioned for back-to-back race days? Okay. All right. So in that question, you kind of gave me two different things, two different ingredients. You talked about intensity, and then you talked about conditioning for back-to-back days. And I would say those are definitely mutually exclusive, right? They complement each other, but they're really, really exclusive from each other. So what's going on is, yes, number one, I think that you should definitely keep the intensity up. So for example, when it comes to your sprints, you guys want to be explosive, right? It doesn't make sense for you guys to start doing a bunch of interval type sprints where you're wearing yourself out. Focus on high intensity for sure. And then you talked about conditioning, right? So maybe perhaps when you guys go to the track, yes, maybe perhaps you guys could work on intervals on the track. You guys could do longer efforts from like the gate to the second turn, or from the gate all the way to the finish line, whatever it is, right? And knock out 5 to 6 efforts, 4 to 6 efforts. And then of course you guys could switch up the imposing demand by either going from the gate to say, the second turn, or going from the first turn to the finish line, right? That would be a great way to condition yourself specifically for back-to-back race days. Now, I may be wrong there. Please forgive me. I think what you're trying to ask is, do you have the fitness for back-to-back race days? Sometimes, man, that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do. You don't want to do a whole lot of training to where you don't want to impose a demand to where you're working on having the fitness for back-to-back days, because you guys can burn out really easily. So something like that, if you guys focus on your ability to recover for one day, then that's going to give you the ability in a roundabout way to recover for the following day. Does that make sense? Otherwise, you guys will be able to recover from back-to-back days if you guys have back-to-back training days, but switch it up, right? Like we had this right here. Let's see here. I'll bring up the Olympic caliber athlete. Like if you guys see here, on a Thursday, Friday, they have gym sprints, and then the following day they have sprints gates. Okay. That's 2 days in a row of high volume work. All right. Something like that. That's going to help you. That's going to impose it's going to impose a demand for you guys to recover back-to-back days. But we're not doing the same thing back-to-back days for the most part, right? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. In other words, you guys don't want to do intervals back-to-back days. All right. Hope that makes sense. What other questions do we have as it pertains to training? Shane Hughes, here we go. In the beginning here, he says, hey, Coach, winter came in one weekend here in the Pacific Northwest, and the gyms are still closed, getting stir crazy. What are some good tips for at-home training? Okay, well, that's more of an Ask Coach G section, but maybe I'll come back to that. Let's focus on more training cycles, training plans. David Burt, here we go. Matt says, thanks for the response. No worries, man. Danny Booby, I see you. I'll come to that. But let's get to David Burt. Have a plan and stick to it, and be consistent, and have a positive attitude. Have a journal. Write in the journal every day, and train the unconscious mind. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Oh, Craig Martin, here we go. How about accounting for other sports games and practices into the training plan? Kids not at specialization age yet. Yeah, absolutely. I think, let me bring this one up. Let me bring up the local racer. Yeah, so Monday, Wednesday, if it's, I don't know where you're at, Craig, but let's just say you're in Canada or not, maybe, or America, maybe you can integrate some ice hockey in there and have them train their sport-specific stuff. Usually sport-specific stuff, everyone's competing for the afternoon and evening times, because we have to presuppose your kids are going to school in the morning. So you could do BMX training in the morning, school, before school, do school in the morning to midday, then afternoon, go do your sport-specific, whatever it is, whether it's ice hockey, baseball, football, soccer. Yes, absolutely. What else do we have here? Hopefully that makes sense. I would say at the end of the day, it's crazy, right? Like, most kids are specializing at an early age. And honestly, I don't have any problems with that. I really don't. I would say, even if they were to dedicate 20 to 30 minutes of body weight exercises, there's nothing wrong with that, because the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between doing that and then going to the playground and playing on the swing set and jumping off blocks and let me close the window, and and running, right? specialization hurts when they're only doing, one thing day in, day out, and it gets monotonous and they get bored of it. So I would say it's important for young kids to get variety, right? Like if you guys are going to do sprints, do a variety of sprints. And I think you guys could go to the track and do all kinds of different things at the track, right? So, I would say in BMX it's very diverse. Whereas, like if you're a baseball player and you're a young pitcher, the only thing you're focusing on is pitching, and there's no diversity in that, right? And so, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Yes, Craig says he's in Canada. I remember, and he says he has a rink in the backyard. Yeah. So, and listen, there's nothing wrong with cross training because I played adult league ice hockey, man. Love that sport. It's one of my favorite sports. If I didn't race BMX and I could rewind back in time and you were to ask me, hey, what sport do you want to play? Well, I really love football, but I think there's some longevity in ice hockey. I would love to play professional ice hockey because you could play for a couple decades in that sport. Believe it or not, it's awesome. But yes, so, you could actually use something like, you guys could do sprints on skates, right? Do short sprints. You guys could do short, long. You guys could do short or long intervals. What is it called? Shifts on the ice, or do drills on the ice and replicate the engine of a BMX racer on the ice. Guys, I think we're doing pretty good. We went really deep into this. Um, I'd say we're just going to jump into Ask Coach G. There it is. If you guys are finding this valuable or helpful, let me know in the chat room. If you guys are watching on the replay, let me know in the comments below what's working for you when it comes to training, right? Are you guys setting up a training plan? Are you guys integrating a macrocycle, thinking big picture? Are you guys training through training blocks? Or are you guys just focusing on the microcycle, the weekly thing that you have to do, the routine? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys find this helpful, let me know. Also, if you guys do find this helpful, check out bmxtraining.com. Go over there. I have a ton of mesocycle, right? Like blocks of training that you guys could integrate easily into your routine, right? And you guys will be able to easily go through without thinking about it, progressive overload of specific training as it pertains to power, doing strength work, speed work, track work. Take all the guessing out. Let me coach you through there through bmxtraining.com. Go check it out. All right, what questions do we have as it pertains to training programs? Yes, JP says it's very helpful. David Burke gives the thumbs up. The Musties say, hey, Coach G, great information. Thank you. Matt seems to be the only one engaging here, so I'm gonna go to the guy that's engaging. Matt says, the older I get, the more I feel racing in my hips and back. Yeah, man. What training do you recommend for strength training, protecting those areas and preventing those issues for younger riders? Yeah, great question. So, number one, make sure that you guys do the work properly, right? When it comes to any kind of triple extension exercise where you're putting the bar on the back, you guys want to make sure that you guys are performing the exercise properly, right? Get someone that's well qualified to coach you through the movement. Number two, you're talking about hips and back. Okay, I see what you're saying. Please forgive me. I got ahead of myself on the question. Matt is asking, he's saying, hey, the older I get, the more racing I do, my hips and back are, I would presuppose, weak, or he's feeling it. He didn't really tell me what he's feeling kinesthetically, but there's some kind of issue going on with that area. So yeah, strength training is going to help, right? Strength training is going to help as far as mobility, recovery, flexibility, mobility with range of motion. And then of course strengthening the areas of that of the hips, right? Right? Because like doing, the hips, the lower back, the core, the glutes, any of those muscles around the hips, whether it's the core area or the lower body area, that's going to help you. It's going to help you to perform BMX specific movements easier, whether it's sprint training or gate starts. Gate starts, man. I went out the other day for the first time over here at San Diego BMX, and man, it was really hard for me to perform a gate start. It's been a while, but I could totally feel it in my lower back, right? I could feel it in the hips. I could feel it everywhere. Strength training is going to enable you to perform it easier. The more strength that you have, the less strain it's going to be in any part of the other body. When it comes to the lower back and the hip area, though, core strength is going to be key. I had an athlete who had inherently, he had some back issues, right? He had some back issues, and and he was a tall rider. The one thing he had to focus on was doing a lot of core work, a ton of core work. Tall riders out there need to do a lot of core work, and it's more beneficial for you guys to do unilateral work, right? Single leg work, single leg squats, presses, lunges, Bulgarian split squats, and whatnot. That's going to enable you to keep your core strong and not impose an unnecessary demand in the lower back area. Here we go. Cruz and Omar. It sure is. New to racing and need a plan for Gold Cup state races. Okay, so that's a great example of someone looking out for a block of training, right? A mesocycle. Nothing wrong with that. Most of us train like that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, so I do have some of those. If you guys go to the store, there is a training plan in there. If you guys don't see it, then just email me. But go check out bmxtraining.com. I definitely have like 4-week training plans that you guys could easily use. And if not, go to the store. And if you guys don't see what you need, then email me info@bmxtraining.com. I'll help you out and get you guys going in the right direction. Tyana's World. Hey, Coach G, I don't know if you remember me. We took a photo together. My name is Tyana, race 12X Girls. Yeah, of course I remember meeting you at San Diego BMX. Your father took the picture. She asked, I was wondering what exercises I could do to improve my gaits. What are you doing now? Are you doing anything now? I don't want to just start throwing stuff out there if you're already doing it. So let me know what you're doing now. I'll come back to you. David Burt, if you're having trouble with your back, look into stem cell injection, will rejuvenate. Yeah, something to be said for that. Okay, here we go. Here's something as it pertains to training. The musties. For a local rider working more on a microcycle, like a weekly routine, right? If you miss a day of the plan due to work, etc., do you just skip that particular day of the plan, or is there a go-to exercise to make up for the lost day? That's a great question. Majority of the people that do, the guys that I train in my Winter Circle program, the mentorship program that have training programs that I create and I customize it for them, I usually just have them go to the next workout, right? There is no makeup where, dude, typically I say try not to miss the strength workouts, okay? Because it's a really big deal. But if you have to miss one, and the following day you have sprints and going to the track, you don't do the gym, the sprints, and the track, right? Like there's no point of doing that. There's a reason why. And so here's the thing. If you have to push that gym session back to the next day, then do that, right? But I wouldn't try to do 3 workouts. I definitely wouldn't put more than 2 workouts. I've tried that before. It's just a good way to get hurt. It's a good way to get sick. It's unnecessary. It's just too much for the body to handle. And the body truly at the end of the day makes their gains on recovery. So you don't want to put the body in a situation to where there's so much stress and an injury to overcome. Now I say injury because at the end of the day, you guys don't really realize this, but when you guys do any kind of resistant work, whether it's sprint resistance, gate start resistance, strength resistance, you guys are actually causing an injury to the muscles, so like micro tears. So in an effort to get stronger, we actually have to let our body recover and mend itself. So, that's the importance of having days off. And you definitely don't want to start stacking workouts on top of another. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we're coming up on an hour. I have a dinner date, and there's a few more questions I was going to answer. I have about 5 more minutes. Tiana, I hope I pronounced your name properly. Please forgive me if I didn't. She says she's not doing much right now as it pertains to exercises to improve her gait starts. There's a couple things that you could do, Tiana. Number one, is it for working on your strength on the first pedal explosion? Are you looking to improve your acceleration after the gate drops? So what you could do is you could either you could work on like exercises like plyometrics, body weight exercises, right? That'll help your pop out of the gate. Do some core exercises that will help your technique out of the gate, so you could hold your form and repeat it, right? And then if you're looking for acceleration power when the gate drops, then I would say sprints and any kind of body weight exercises where you're doing like body weight squats, or some kind of plyometric exercises where you're doing body squats where you're exploding, doing like quarter squat jumps, if you will. Let me know. Let me know what you need help on, and I can certainly help you or send you in the right direction. Anthony Grasher, yes, the most important part of training, consistently doing it. Thank you so much, Anthony. That was something that we definitely addressed in the beginning of why having a training plan. What gets scheduled gets done, right? What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. It just doesn't. Yes, and consistency is the key. What other questions do we have as it pertains to training programs? I want to give a shout out to Jean-Philippe Belager. I hope I pronounced your JP. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. But JP, he really inspired this one because I asked in the community what you guys want to learn this week, and he said training programs. Like how to set up a training program. So thank you so much. Let's see, one more question. Let's see, who is the winner here? Who's going to get their question? Let's see, Greg. David Burt has a question. Greg, what would you suggest for your second pedal work out of the gate? I feel that my second pedal is weak. So David Burt asked, Greg, what would you suggest for your I can't speak. Greg, what would you suggest for your second pedal work out of the gate? I feel that my second pedal is weak. Yeah, I would do, like Matt says here, do a box sprint and set up with the second pedal forward already. And get in that forward position where your shoulders are already in over the handlebar grip, so you're already manipulating the body and starting the body in that acceleration position. And it's going to be really tough and awkward, but focus on accelerating and getting that extension of that front leg, of getting the hips and knee and ankle opened up, right? Like focusing on exploding that, but at the same time, holding your form, right? Holding your form to where your shoulders are right over the handlebar grips, keep that core tight, and just focus on delivering power and extending through that front foot. I would say that's almost like doing, a rack pull in the gym, right? Starting in that position. You can also do rack pulls in the gym, which is basically doing a deadlift starting at, knee high. I usually like doing it I usually have the barbell starting just above the kneecaps, and I just simply stand up from there holding the bar. No different than training your acceleration position, especially getting into the second pedal. That's what I do, man. That's what I would do. JP says you are welcome and thanks for coaching us every week. Yeah, man. That being said, man, guys, I am so grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. Again, thank you so much. I am humbled with you guys showing up, man. I am truly grateful for you guys showing up every week. I love it. I love interacting with you guys. And again, if you guys find this helpful, leave a comment below. Make sure you guys share the video. If you guys are gaining value in this, make sure you guys share the value and help out our BMX community. That way we continuously build our community, right? Focus on the riders that are consistently showing up, and that way they stay around the sport longer. If they're around the sport longer, then it's just fun, right? It's reliable, right? It's good when we can show up to the track and the people we know that are going to be there are showing up because they're improving. You know, we could say we do it for fun, but really truly at the end of the day, we love the challenge of improving, and we love the challenge of having success, right? At the end of the day, if we know we're improving, we're having fun. If we're having more success, we're having more fun. At the end of the day, truly the unconscious root cause of why we do this is to have fun. Now, showing up to the track and saying, you know, I'm just going to have fun and go through the motions and, you know, not make the main event. Okay, you can have fun, but after a while it gets old and you guys end up moving on, because what's going to happen is, you know, I was just talking to a rider the other day and it's like, he wants training and he's on a team. And what happened was he's not having fun in the pit area when all his teammates make the main event at the national and he's not the one that's making the main event. Trust me, he's going there to have fun. He loves riding his bike and he's having fun. And if he's not improving or progressing, then going to the track, going to these big races, watching all his teammates race the main event from the sideline, that's going to get old. That's not going to be fun after a while. After a while, it's going to be tough on us, right? I've been there before. I remember being a struggling 11, 12, 13 expert. I was not that good. I wasn't training. When I started training, it got fun. So guys, thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know in the comments below. I know you guys are in the live chat, but if you guys can come back into the video, let me know what you guys learned from this. And yes, share it with our community. Please do share. You guys be coaches as well. I'm asking you and empowering you guys to share this information and arm yourself to teach others. All right. If I could teach you, you could teach others, and our sport's going to grow. Again, guys, I'll see you guys next week. I am grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. If you guys found value, check out bmxtraining.com, and you guys have an awesome rest of your week.